The Minnesota Timberwolves are headed to the Western Conference Finals. Let's talk about it. After a struggling first half from Ant Edwards and company, the Minnesota Timberwolves find a way to steal the game in Denver. You got to respect the resiliency from Ant Edwards. He came in struggling, just had 4 points after the first half. He couldn't get a shot to go in. But then he comes through in the second half and he just brings that energy. I thought that him bringing the ball up and walking it up the court, I thought that was not a good play by him going into the first half because he was allowing the double team to come at him and he had to make tough decisions with the ball in a tough spot. And going into the second half, you can kind of tell he was doing what he does best, which is going downhill and attacking those double teams. He'd either shoot in those situations or kick out to the open shooters. I also want to talk about Jay McDaniels because I've said in previous videos that if he scores 20 points, you're going to win the basketball game, and that's exactly what happens. If he's making open threes and transition buckets, I think that this team is set up to succeed. Karl Anthony Towns comes through with 23 points. He was huge in this one. Taking advantage of those mismatches, you've seen him being guarded by Christian Brown a lot and other smaller guards, and I think that instead of him waiting for a double team to come through, him backing down his defender was what was beneficial for him, and he was successful in getting buckets versus those smaller guys. So you got to commend him for that, him being aggressive, especially because he's had playoff woes in the past, and he's came through big time so far in these playoffs. Rudy Gobert, we seen Charles Barkley say that they should bench Rudy Gobert. I thought that was utterly ridiculous. He comes through with his defensive presence. Every game that he's been in, he was Kobe Gobert in one of these plays. He was backing him down and shot a fadeaway to beat the shot clock buzzer. And I knew from that point on they had all the momentum. Naz Reid, again, showing some bench production there. Nikhil Alexander-Walker didn't really show up in this game, but, just him being out there spreads the floor and allows the others to do their thing. But the Denver Nuggets, man, I thought going into this season that losing Jeff Green and Bruce Brown were huge losses. They bet on guys like Peyton Watson and Christian Brown. And although they were okay during the season, I don't think that Peyton Watson got enough run to really get his feet under him going to these playoffs. Christian Brown, even in this game, we've seen him timid at times. He wasn't shooting the open shots. He was really passive, and I thought he could have been more aggressive. They gave Zeke Naji a contract extension, and at the time, it wasn't really that questionable because it seems like, they're moving on from the vets and they're bringing in the young guys. But him not playing really not that much this season and throughout these playoffs was questionable to me. I thought that they could have used something else other than Justin Holiday. Jokic was, I would say that this is a mid game for Jokic. He had 34 points and 19 rebounds, but he was 2 for 10 for 3. Jamal Murray, after having 24 points at halftime, he ends with 35, which is, again, that's not bad, but only having 11 points in the second half in a crucial game 7, it's not going to get it done. There's so many questions surrounding them, but we'll get to that later. But moving on, I had the Pacers winning in 6, and they end up winning in 7. Tyrese Halliburton's a superstar. I think that although he was a little bit up and down these playoffs, these last stretch of games, he's been phenomenal. I think that his only stinker was in game 1 in this series, and he was phenomenal ever since. TJ McConnell, again, he's going to get paid this summer. I think that the more he plays well, the higher that contract's going to be. Neesmith has been a phenomenal defender and energy guy. He's hitting open shots. Same thing with Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard may not make everything, but he's 94 feet as soon as a shot goes up. Miles Turner has been phenomenal. You couldn't ask him to do anything more than he's doing right now. Pascal Siakam, he's known as a star, but he's definitely been playing like a superstar in these couple games. I think from the OG team, they just took advantage of the size that they've had. I think one thing that the Pacers done well that they need to do moving forward is not being too complacent. There was times where New York Knicks were coming back in this game and they cut that lead. It was like a 20-point lead. They cut it down to 7, and instead of panicking, they extended their lead once again. And if TJ McConnell's going to be a mid-range killer like he is right now, I think that's going to be hard to lose. Same thing with Tyrese Halliburton. He said, "Come on, Dante. Come on." He was talking trash. I like that battle out there, and I hope to see a battle. Maybe it's going to be Tyrese versus Jaylen Brown. Knicks have been banged up. We coming into this game, OG Anunoby can barely walk. He hits 2 threes and leaves the game. Josh Hart's already, hobbled with that injured ab. And then, we see Jalen Brunson go down in that third quarter, and it was pretty much over from that point. Dante DiVincenzo, 39 points, still not enough to eclipse this Indiana team. Final thoughts. Reporters are asking the Wolves, do you think that you got to lose in a bigger stage before you finally win? That's bullshit. I think that Karl Anthony Towns has been there for 9 years. He's definitely paid his dues and he deserves to be in the spot that he's at. Anthony Edwards, a young rising superstar, is coming in and taking over this team, and I think he deserves this as well. The whole city of Minneapolis